It's legit, guys. I looked at an Excel data sheet myself. Stares truck saying, I don't want to work.
Yeah.
Someone else. Give the ball to someone else. Give the ball to someone else.
Cheers. So good. So fresh. So yummy. What's up, guys? We got 3 topics today for our podcast. Bitcoin, capital chaos, and the Twitter bans, and then job growth ending. So, as you know, we're going to be having an espresso between every subject, lasting about 5 minutes.
That's what she said?
And before we start this one, my grandma gave me this book. It's a Maxims of Wall Street. So, we're going to read one out of this book random each. So, I'll read the first one. Okay, this one. The more certain something is, the less likely it is to be profitable. Jim Rogers. That's on contrary investing. And then you can pick one yourself. Stares right straight ahead.
A stop loss is a protection from the black swan.
And then what's that about?
Cutting losses.
Cutting losses. That's how we do it here.
Gotta
Without
cut the
further
losses.
ado, I'm going to get us a 5-minute timer going, and we're going to get ramped up with Bitcoin. 3, 2, 1, and go.
All right. So as you guys know, Bitcoin is at a $40,000 price.
Too fucking high.
Too
Bitcoin
fucking
is too
high
fucking
right now,
high.
pretty much.
It's
seems
almost
like-
as high as
yeah.
fucking Riley. No, I'm kidding. No, but yeah, Bitcoin is too fucking high right now. What's the price at?
Seems like, I don't know off the top of my head exactly what it is right now, but it's fluctuated like $6,000 today in like
Yeah.
30 minutes or something like that.
Talk
Like
about
I looked at my
volatility.
phone and it's like, oh, it's at $34,000, and I looked at it again, oh, it's at 40 again. And it's like, dude, what other fucking asset does that?
Is trading between $6,000 fluctuating when it's not even at, like over in like 'cause,
Exactly.
you know, $6,000 if you're dealing with millions isn't a big amount
It's
of
like
fluctuation.
20% of the fucking
Yeah,
whole thing.
it's fluctuating like 15% hourly.
Yeah,
It's
it's
stupid.
totally wild. And so
That's like a typical 3-year return on S&P 500.
yeah, exactly.
Just for reference, like what
exactly.
how weird
But
shit
it's
is right
happening
now.
in like 30 fucking minutes on a Sunday.
Yeah, and it's for the currency of all things.
Yes,
It's supposed to be stable, right? Like,
it's supposed to be.
wait, can I get that donut back? Now it's worth 2 donuts. You know, like,
yeah, exactly.
some shit like
You
that.
buy something with it, yeah. Dude, that's actually interesting. I wonder
Right?
how that, because it's such a volatile currency, and I mean currency.
And you can pay online right now.
currencies are volatile, but they're not like that.
Yeah.
Like it's a matter of like really fractional like movements.
Let's talk about why Bitcoin is special. I think last week we talked a lot about why the price of it's going up, you know, with the supply and all
Yeah.
that. But let's talk about why Bitcoin, what makes it special. So we did a little bit more research regarding not necessarily the technology, but the future of what this technology could be used for. Do you want to give us a little sneak peek of that, Riley?
Yeah, I think the future, in my opinion at least, the future of this technology could probably.
Yeah,
be
this is all
used-
speculative. This
yeah,
is,
yeah. The
know what the
future of
fuck
the
we're talking about.
technology could be like, well, one, it's like it's a global currency, so there's no converting euros to USD, there's no converting yen to USD or whatever. It's all just one single like cumulative currency.
Mm-hmm.
So you could just pay, you could be in China and pay with Bitcoin, and you could be in the US and you could pay with Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And you could be in Europe and you could pay with Bitcoin. There's no currency conversion or anything. I think that's like the main thing. And then what do you think?
That and the fact that it's decentralized. So
Yeah.
typically you'd have to go a person. I wouldn't just have a bunch of money and you know that I give value to. No, I would have to go to a bank and use US dollars, and that would make value for some kind of goods and services. What Bitcoin does is they get rid of the middleman, the bank, and instead it's decentralized because the creator of it, Satoshi,
Yeah, nobody knows. Who the
Nobody
fuck
knows
this guy
about.
is.
Yeah. He would have 40 billion worth of Bitcoin today. By the way, if he or the group, no one knows the origin of it. It could be a multiple
Dude, it could
people.
Be
Could be a group of people, but-
yeah.
So,
Jeez.
needless to say, though, he is not in the picture, and he is decentralized because the technology, it's like Pandora's box. Once you open it, you can't close it.
Yeah.
Same as the internet. You know, it's not like you can delete the internet right now. But the fact of the matter is the potential of Bitcoin being decentralized means that banks are a little scared, you know.
Yeah.
You're seeing a lot of institutions and large businesses having like 1% of their portfolios invested into Bitcoin now, whereas if you said that in 2014, that you would be laughed at. You know,
Oh, yeah.
they'd be like, "What? That little computer chip? You can't even
Yeah.
see it. That's
But
not
now,
real."
All those people are laughing to the bank now. All
Yeah.
the people that were like talking about it in 2014 and everything. It's like, yeah, like I'll take a short term like roast and a short term like you're an idiot for a long term like I'm rich now.
Most successful people are called fools. You know, I
That's
think there's a
true.
great quote that says, "The people who are dancing look crazy for those who didn't hear the music." You know what I mean? Yeah. So
Interesting.
I forget who said that, but it's true though. You do look crazy when you're doing things that no one else is doing because it goes against the norms
Yeah.
and standards. But if you're confident, you have strong conviction
Exactly.
after enough research, you know,
Yeah.
because strong conviction without enough research is just a fool. That is a
Yeah,
fool.
That's just
And
guessing,
typically when
yeah.
people say that you're a fool, they haven't done their own research, you
Yeah.
know, which is, you know, most people.
Especially now.
Yeah, there's a lot of strong opinions, not a lot of strong fact checkers and shit. It's not even about fact checking at this point. Bitcoin, you really have to be able to conceptualize the future that
Yeah.
hasn't occurred yet.
I feel like it's the same thing like that. What happened in like early 2000s with the internet? It's like,
Mhm.
okay, like why would I send this email? Why would I send this letter virtually when I can just mail
Give it to my friend
the-
who's next door.
Yeah, or something like that. Or like why would I text somebody if I can just go to their house and tell them?
Yeah.
Like that doesn't seem like any more convenient.
Yeah.
And now 20 years later,
Especially when you have that huge cost of getting the
Yeah,
device,
exactly.
you know, and
that's the thing is when
Not
all-
everyone
when-
has
when
it,
all this new
yeah.
technology comes out, there's a huge like barrier to entry because it's a lot of times so expensive.
yeah.
But as like over time, as it develops and as it gets more and more and more, as there's more like generations and kind of versions of it,
Mhm.
The cost goes down generally.
Yep.
And so
That was
I
our timer,
mean,
but
we saw that with pretty much everything in the internet boom and everything. You know, everything wasn't as convenient to get. Like you couldn't send an email. A lot of people didn't have computers, so they're like, okay, I don't even have this thing. Why do I want to send an email?
Yep. If people aren't accepting Bitcoin, why would you own Bitcoin?
Exactly.
You know.
And now you go
So,
into a house and
I
you know,
don't think
every
it's
room has a
gonna.
computer.
Yeah, I
And
don't
it's
think
like-
it's gonna be mainly adopted until industries and services recognize it as an official currency.
Exactly.
Like, even though it is technically an official currency,
And
you can
people-
buy goods and services with
People
it.
do take it. It's just not like
Yeah.
I think I read somewhere that as far as retail goes, like retail buying, there's been about $250 million like in transactional like value with Bitcoin this year, and
Is that up from previous years?
I don't know relative to previous years, but relative to like a dollar or a like a governmental or like like a USD currency, those are like at like 500 billion or something.
Jesus. So you're comparing 250 million to 500 billion. Those are like,
Yeah.
that's insane. Yeah.
And
So
you gotta
we're
ask
looking
yourself-
at the very beginning of this whole
Yeah.
thing, and that doesn't mean that you should buy Bitcoin right now.
No,
That would be a
yeah.
very stupid way of looking at, asset evaluation.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to get at is this is just the start of the prospect of Bitcoin technology,
Exactly.
of blockchain technology. But
And like
'cause
you said,
we're just using it for
yeah.
finance right now. We don't even know what you can
Yeah.
be using it for. I read this
Exactly.
article that mentioned there's a possibility that you could drive a self-driving car, pay with Bitcoin, and the whole thing's autonomous. Where if they know they need to fill up on gas or get electricity,
Yeah.
they'll stop at one of those shops to get refueled and whatever that car has or the ability to.
Mhm.
The future is endless with the possibilities.
It's crazy.
I'll end it with that. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm not saying buy Bitcoin, but I'm saying the technology behind it. We're just seeing the
keep
start
an eye
of
out
it.
for it.
Oh, definitely hold.
Maybe
though.
do some research.
Yeah. Okay, well, without further ado, let's fill up another espresso and get on to our next topic,
Shit.
which is the capital chaos and Twitter bans. This one's going to be interesting.
Dun dun dun.
Dun, dun. It gets better every time.
That one's hot.
All right, we got a nice one coming up. So this is going to be the capital chaos and the Twitter ban that ensued after. This one's going to be talking more about free speech as well as private companies and what they're able to do. So starting the timer now. I'll start with this. So I want to mention how, the First Amendment, it applies to the citizens, but for private companies, they can do whatever the fuck they want. They can tell people to shut the fuck up. They can kick them out of their stores. They can tell people, what they can and can't do in their own businesses. But let's pretend you're like walking down the park. You can't tell people to shut the fuck up just because they're enjoying their day, But if you're a business and they're just shopping at your store, you can tell them to leave for whatever reason you deem is worthy.
Yeah.
But when you talk about the internet, it's different because yes, they are. The internet is its own thing, and then you have these companies that are on the internet that are almost like public parks. That you go there to talk to your people like you would at a park. You can do whatever you want at a park. You can do it at the private company. except that at a park, much like everywhere else, you can't, do death threats. You can't yell bomb in an airport. You can't, scream like, oh my God, like, crazy murder
Yeah.
at a park. That's because that's inciting, violence. And that's what this whole thing about Trump is, they're trying to get at. But what I have an issue with is just the whole way how people go about this problem, where it goes along with our cancel culture in general, where instead of trying to find a solution that works with everybody and keeping everybody on the platform, like, okay, you know what, Trump, like, we're going to have to verify your tweets before they're posted. That would be one way to go about it. That's like, if you go into an airport, how they check you to make sure you don't have a fucking bomb,
Yeah, exactly.
So that's one way to protect the citizens from danger, what the private company deems as dangerous. The reason why this matters is because Section 230 makes private companies that are internet companies not liable for things that are on their platform. However, if you've been reading the news lately, Trump has been trying to make sure that they get, as well as other members of both left and right, and red, blue, up, down, green. I don't give a fuck. Everybody's trying to make private tech companies responsible for the content that public people like me and Riley are publishing on their platforms. That's not good. I don't like that because that's making them feel Twitter, Facebook, pressured to start silencing their own viewers before the government silences them.
It's like blaming the park for someone who got shot at your park.
Yeah, it's great,
like,
great
no,
fucking example.
It's just the place. Like,
Exactly.
I'm not the reason this shit happened. It's just it happened here.
Exactly. It could have been any park. It didn't matter that it was like that. The park exists. People go to the park.
Exactly.
There's a chance you could get shot no matter what park you go to.
Exactly.
Just like there's a chance you could find really shit information, misinformation online.
Yeah.
But as Mark Twain once said, this regards, free speech and censorship. It goes something like, just because a baby can't chew a steak doesn't mean a man can't eat it, right?
Yeah, that's
Right,
what. Yeah,
let's-
no, that's what
let
it
me
was.
look up the
it was that, but it was the other way around. It was like just because a man can chew a steak doesn't. Or no wait, fuck. It was. It was just because a man can chew a steak doesn't mean it should be banned because a baby can't eat it.
Censorship
or
is
something like
telling a man he can't have a steak just because a baby can't chew
that. There
it.
you go. That's
So,
what it was.
The reason why I just quote this is because it makes sense regarding, if people see something online that they deem as like misinformation and they think that could harm other people. Okay, I know, but you yourself saw that as misinformation and you're a citizen. Like, don't you think that other intelligent people could deem that as, misinformation? The problem is there's a lot of fucking stupid people that believe a lot of shit that isn't real.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that are Christians. No, I'm kidding.
They just flat out
No,
wanna
but,
believe shit that they just want to believe.
They want to believe
refuse
what they want to believe is
yeah.
the truth.
They see something they don't agree with and like, well, that can't be right.
The book Sapiens talks about that, how the reason why Homo sapiens are so interesting is because we gained the ability to believe in things that aren't fucking real,
Yeah.
And that's how a lot of cults form. That's how a lot of, false
that's how our fucking
gods
mind
are
works.
formed.
That's how our psychology works as humans. Like, it's
Yeah.
like we want to believe like what makes us feel good, not what is.
Yeah, that's what makes us feel good is also subjective,
Yeah. Or
what makes one person feel good is different than what makes another person feel good.
Exactly.
And there's nothing wrong with that. That's the thing. So we have these two different mindsets, and people who are in the same wavelength, they all want to think the same. They want to cancel whatever is not their opinion. And this goes for both the right and the left. It's just that the right are willing to hear the other side more, and at least from what I've seen. I mean, then again, they're also the ones spreading more misinformation.
That's true.
But what do you deem misinformation? That's another thing.
Yeah.
So that's why I say more speech always. More speech, free
Yeah.
speech, because it opens the mind to think whatever they want. Like, if I didn't think I had free speech right now, I wouldn't be saying this shit. I'd feel like I
Yeah.
could get canceled or something.
Yeah.
I'd be, labeled as some person that I'm not.
Exactly.
But the thing is that's all in the other person who's viewing this' head,
Yeah.
Because they have been tricked to think that's bad. But then again, what really is bad or good,
That's for the person to decide.
Yeah.
So, how does this tie into commerce and everything?
how does this tie into commerce? Let's add tie that back into the beginning with Section 230.
As a result, since Twitter has banned Trump, their
Just one quick minute, yeah.
stock price has been down 8%. That was pretty much over the course of the week.
Yep.
And I think one has to ask himself, like, is this going to be a
Well, don't forget, Twitter did that, but also Parler was deplatformed
Yeah.
from the Apple Store and Amazon web hosting.
And
So
then-
you don't have a spot to speak your mind if it doesn't
Exactly.
go with the agenda right now.
Exactly. So yeah, I think Trump got like indefinitely banned on Twitter, and then like temporarily banned until inauguration on like Twitch and like Discord, and it's like Trump is not on fucking Discord like typing away at some fucking like
Playing Fortnite.
fucking Warzone
Yeah.
group chat saying this is bullshit. Like that seems to me that seems
No,
excessive.
it
Like,
went
that
along
has-
with cancel culture.
That's
They
got nothing to do with what he said on Twitter.
deplatforming is the new thing instead of actually having a conversation about
Yeah.
it. But with that being said, you know, do I think that he deserved to be kicked off? Yeah, I just don't like to see it because of the systemic approach that I have at looking at this problem.
Yeah.
I'm happy Trump's off Twitter and all these other shit. I'm not happy how they did it. You know, that's the how is what makes me upset because someone else who is in a bad man who has more power than Trump, you know, I mean, how much more power can the president have than
Yeah,
you know,
but I mean, even just like bad, like influential people.
influential people?
They're talking about like how like some war leader or some shit like in Iran.
Yeah,
has
they're not getting
can have a
deplatformed.
Twitter account, and it's just like okay, but the president can't.
So we're kind of getting
It's
lines
gotta-
drawn in the sand,
It's
and
kind of got to go both ways. I mean,
yeah.
it can't be one or the other.
But needless to say, I don't think that this is good for business. I think it's going to be slowing down freedom of speech and freedom to think, and that's not a good approach for anything. More speech is always better because you can have conversations, long conversations,
Yeah.
not a Twitter fucking text and a retweet and it blows up because everybody agrees with you. You know, that's not a conversation. That's delusion.
Or even if it just looks pretty, like a lot of people, you'll see all these tweets that are like totally false, like in information, and they'll have fucking like 100,000 like likes and like retweets, and it's like this is, it's like
tweets or
it goes back to misinformation. Like it's just
Yeah.
like people believe what they want to see,
So,
regardless if
and
it's,
we're not here to tell you how it should be. We're just telling you how we see it. That's
Yeah,
another thing. You know,
exactly.
we see the hypocrisy. We see how things are. We don't like it. Whether we can fix them or not, I don't know because we're just two people. But all right. Well, without further ado, let's get on to the job growth end. Jesus Christ, it's still so hot.
super hot.
Alrighty, so our next topic that we're going to be covering is the job growth ending. So as we all know, we hit a peak in April. I'll set the timer. And
5 minutes on the clock.
5
starting
minutes starting now. So yeah, we hit a peak in April with job loss. So I'll just throw some facts at you first, then we'll get it going. So before April, so March, it was 97.2 million citizens who were just not in the labor force altogether. For everybody to know, we have about 333 million, roughly, like people in the U.S. So 97.2 million citizens were just, fuck it, I don't want to work, or they were, you know, not in the workforce, whether they were disabled or they were, you know, a mother, they were there, like taking care of their child. Any reason, for some reason, they were not working. So that actually increased to 7.2 million. So they got booted from the workforce and they just said, fuck it, I'm not even going to look for a job. They were out of the workforce. That's 104 million citizens. Fuck it, I don't give a shit. Now we're looking at 4 million still booted. So a little bit of a recovery, but we're not there yet. You know, 4 million people who are just on the sidewalk saying, I don't want to work.
Someone else. Give the ball to someone else. Give the ball to someone else.
So that's a lot of people who are just saying, fuck it, I don't give a fuck. So, I mean, for reference, like we had 151 million employed in March, 130.3 million in April, and then 142.6 million in December. These are all statistics from the Bureau of Labor Services, by the way. So we'll link that in the description.
So it's legit.
It's legit, guys. I looked at an Excel data sheet myself.
That was legitness.
That was legitness. So we're roughly 9.4 million down still from a peak of 22 million back from March. So for reference, this is not including the 4 million that are still booted. So really 13.4 million people are out of the workforce right now. But the you know, Wall Street Journal will tell you 9.4 million.
Yeah.
Peter Schiff talks about this a lot, how, you know, our unemployment statistics have been skewed for years because they favor unemployment they favor those employed rather those unemployed. You know, we're not talking, when we say not in the labor force, we don't include that at all. I think as much as I would want to, I'd want to know how many people compared to other countries are not even in the labor force, because for all we know, China could be running these motherfuckers to the ground and only having like 1% of their people not working. You know, those who are literally cannot work. Yeah. Whereas, you know, we're just like, do whatever you want to do, and we're telling you can gain fucking unemployment benefits from it. Because that's America now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that unemployment's great when you get kicked down to your feet or that you literally can't because you're disabled.
Yeah.
Like, you know, veteran assurance and stuff like that if they've been injured. But when you're just like out of work, I don't know how I feel about that for an extended period of time.
Yeah, and for
when
like,
it's not a fucking pandemic though. Like right now it's a fucking pandemic. Yeah.
exactly. For relation, like I always find myself doing these little relations. Like, well, in comparison to the 2008 financial crisis, I feel like I have a statistic about that every single time.
Well, yeah. Show us your stats, Riley.
Okay, I got you guys.
Show us big fat stats.
I got you guys on the big fat stats. So 9.37 million jobs were lost in 2020 versus about half, 5 million, were lost in the 2009 aftermath of the financial crisis in 2009.
Yeah.
And we saw this. This kind of correlates to the amount of stimulus we've been getting as well, because in comparison to the 2008 financial crisis, I think with this stimulus bill, it's almost tripled. What was given in 2009.
It's stupid.
Versus now. And so we're seeing both these numbers, jobs lost doubles, stimulus compared then to now has tripled.
Feels like a third world country.
Exactly.
The hyperinflation, it feels like
Exactly.
it feels like Venezuela, fucking Brazil, like
Less people are working, more money supply is increasing, and
those aren't even third world countries, I think, anymore. Those are just poorly ran socialist countries. And I'm not saying America's becoming that, but if you ask me, would a capitalist give as much stimulus as we just did? No. They would probably help out citizens, and then they would be like, all right, businesses, that you fucked up, They'd help service industries such as, like, the people that take out the trash or fucking power plants, because that's how you function as a society.
Yeah.
Or, other services. But, like,
that's a want.
The airline industry, as much as I want to say it's essential, it's not. You can get to place different ways. That's just a business.
And you can fucking, there's Zoom, man. If you need it,
Yeah,
I'm sure a lot of these fucking
other
reasons for flights are for business and shit. And like,
trends should change based on how the economy changes.
Exactly.
And the government, they don't want to do that.
Yeah.
For reasons that are too complicated for my small brain. No, they wanted the power.
They got big brain, apparently.
Yeah, they want big bank is what they want.
That's right.
I mean, the sad reality is, we're just pawns in their fucking game.
Yeah.
Like, at this point, we're like, the amount of time it took them to pass stimulus bills and what bullshit they packed in those fucking stimulus bills, I don't know. And, like, this isn't even coming from somebody who needs the stimulus.
Yeah.
I'm just empathetic enough to give a fuck.
That's the fucking reason why it's bullshit. Is it's being given to people who don't fucking need it, bro. Like, I would have been just fucking fine without that $600, bro.
But you're racking.
And I think other people probably need that shit way more than I do.
But you knew how to get it. Yeah.
Well, I didn't even know how to get it. It's just like that's how it worked. That's how it ended up working out.
Yeah.
Like, I filed taxes last year, and so they fucking gave it to me. But like, it seems like you spend 6 months to pass this fucking bill. It seems like you should do a little bit of research on like who actually fucking needs it.
Yeah.
Like, okay, is this person working right now?
Well,
like,
that's if they cared about the citizens.
Exactly.
They don't.
Like,
they care more about, like, I don't know what kind of economy or economic system we're living in right now, because it's not capitalism and it's not communism, and it could be a mix of. I know we're experiencing
fucking Middle Earth.
Yeah, it's Middle Earth, but I know we're experiencing Keynesian economics. That's obvious, where we're getting an influx of a stimulus in a capitalist society. But the thing is that's not the way how I would want things to go to the extreme that they've been.
Yeah.
I think that all smart people would realize that in a pandemic, you need to make sure your citizens make it through.
That's good.
Because that's the backbone of the economy.
Exactly. That's good in moderation, what we've been experiencing, but it hasn't been moderate at all.
And then, exactly. And then the big businesses and the bureaucracies that are there, the ones that are really well run, they would have survived without a stimulus. The ones that are poorly run would have died. And one has to ask themselves, is that good or bad if they died? Like, thousands of people would have lost their jobs. But then again, aren't they going to eventually? Like, you can't just keep dumping fucking money in. It's just going to make the dollar worthless.
I think the businesses that would not have succeeded would be not necessarily considered like would not have necessarily been considered like a bad business, more so not a modern business.
Yeah.
Because, you can modernize a lot of like does this business sell? I guess with the exception.
Then again, dude, if the government didn't regulate as hard as they fucking did, I don't think that we would have needed as much stimulus as we did. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Like I've said it before on this fucking podcast, a government
And we'll
that
fucking
is
say it again.
A government powerful enough
listen.
to give you everything you want is powerful enough to take everything you
all
have.
that shit away, bro.
And I'll end with another maxim of Wall Street.
Ooh, gotta love it.
Let's see. It's a good one.
Oh shit, you can't get a good one. You gotta get a random one.
Bulls make money, bears make money, but hogs go hungry. Animal Farm on Wall Street.
I don't get it.
Bulls make money, bears, because if you know how to do both, you'll make money. But if you get greedy and you eat all of it like a hog, you do both, you go hungry. You don't get anything.
I don't know what them hogs are about.
You ain't been to a farm, son? Fucking snowflake. No.
You probably go to the bar and order a fucking White Claw.
On that note, cheers to you. And
thank you for watching, Nana.
like, subscribe if you've gotten this far. I love you, Nana.